Holler if you hear me, and welcome to tonight's edition of Uncensored. It is the top of the hour, 10 p.m. Eastern, and we are here and together for a nice little bit of some family fun right here. I did this as promised. Oh, yes, we're going to be doing a nice little bit of the classic January 1955 centerfold of Little Miss Betty Page. As promised, there she is with the little baubles, a little tree, and wearing only, one of these little bits right here because, well, why not? It's fun. And now you understand also why, when trying to look up what a back issue of that particular issue would cost, the one I found on eBay was for over $1,000. They wanted for it. And summer, I actually literally saw somebody who was selling the first issue of the magazine for less, and they had like a whole thing where it's one of those where they have a whole run of years upon years where you can pick which issue of which year and all that, and they had the first one for less than that. And it wasn't even something that was signed or anything, but I mean, okay. And on top of that, the progress on, well, since Encrypted Save the Future is complete, we are now in the middle of note taking for Encrypted Divine Justice. We've got that to do so that we can figure out that story and get that all hammered into place so we can keep on going and move, so that then we get on to have 3 of these issues done. So then we can get on to having 4 of them done with Encrypted Cloak and Dagger. Yes. And today, in the free time I had, I was going to go and draw another back cover because I did the back cover for Encrypted Divine Justice. And I thought, well, hey, how about we do one for Encrypted Save the Future? And this was the result. Except now when I look at this, I think that this would actually be better served as a promotional piece just for the comic in general, instead of him specifically doing it for the second one. I'm thinking better off. It probably would either be they either use this as the back cover for the first Encrypted or as a promotional piece for just the comic in general and trying to get the first one. Because with this, well, since there's no real allusion to anything involving in the story, this one is better off with the concept of the character. So I think this probably would work better as a back cover for the first Encrypted as opposed to for Save the Future.
Establishes it.
And then but still do one, then try again to do a back cover for Encrypted Save the Future that is more in line with what's going on in the story. Initially I was sitting down thinking something that would involve either the Roswell alien type of face on the back or something to do with the letter X. And I thought, well, no, something else should go on in. And then I just thought, okay, how about I just do a piece, keep practice with drawing Fiona. All right, just do a piece of her. And then doing it, and I thought, okay, well, then how about we add something else in there? And it just all came off the top of my head with Better Dead and all that. And yes, we will. At least we still have a back cover for issue 1 now. So now it means we have a back cover for issue 2, and in the future, yes, doing at least 1 or 2 promotional pieces to try to get the attention out there and see if I could get other people to go and advertise what it is I'm doing. Like I say with the Diaz brothers and what they do. I mean, I've got some kind of inroad there, and also there is the concept of that's much more likely to happen if, or at least have already established connection with trying to, since I already, message them and DM and all that, and appear in the chat of the streams they do. It's probably more likely that well, that next campaign you're doing, well, what would it take for have a page or promotion? No, Chicago. And the other one would be, of course, Eric July with what's coming up with the Ripperverse. But that there's 1,000,001 people that would love to get their work advertised with Eric July. I know out in Texas, so where I am, it's a matter, and also the fact that I do everything by hand with the artwork and all that. It'd be a matter of either shipping out the artwork there to those kind of people to use it to have it, put up in there, or to put in their comic, or something else. Because remember, I don't have a scanner at all. I've had my Amazon wishlist for the longest time, and the one I have that the size of the page you can scan is the classic comic book artwork original page size of 11 by 17, and it costs it's $649.99. Yes, $649. Yeah. For comparison's sake, I always thought, another thing I've always really wanted as an important piece for the career would be an actual drafting table. And there are drafting tables that are up on Amazon for like $98. And drafting tables that come with actual cabinets and things like that for your equipment. Yeah. Though that type of classic drafting table, even the kind where you can adjust how you want the board up from, directly flat up front, all the way flat down, or at some kind of angle. That I think actually, no, I can put the drafting table in my room there and arrange things. Yeah. Just rearrange things and then rearrange it. No, not a laser printer, a scanner for you to be able to go and have your copies of your work, like the kind you see when you go to a UPS store or to a FedEx office. They have them there where you can go and get your pages scanned like that and have it onto a hard drive. I've got a couple hard drives, so I know that even with me doing everything by hand, when it comes to getting these comics actually printed, that the actual like file of them, you have to have a digital file created for them to then have it all printed. But doing that, and also the fact that with the actual comic itself, when you look at the basic format of like what I'm doing with these is basically trying to do them in that same page count format of the classic monthly comic you see on shelves in those stores. So the actual interior count of them is 32 pages. So it would be a matter of the other 8 pages in there would be, well, of course, maybe the inside cover would be for credits and things like that. Or either, since the credits would be very marginal, some kind of like introductory note. Like I mentioned Cerebus the Aardvark a lot. And if you go and look at the back issues of them, the front note, initially with the comic when it started, it had a note from the publisher, because that's when Dave Sims started it, with his wife working, doing the things with him, with how they were self-publishing this, and eventually they divorced, so he started doing all the things himself. And he changed it from a note from the publisher to note from the president, and it would just be about like whatever was going on at that given time when that issue was produced. To go from either something about what a recent convention appearance was like, or his thoughts on something. Like before the big notorious issue 186, it had the whole text piece in the issue itself of him railing against feminism. And if you actually read that issue, all the things he brings up about them all read like things Gary Beekler said, but it would have said, but he's saying it 20 years ahead of time in a self-published comic book about an aardvark made out of Kitchener, Ontario. As a big YouTuber there. I actually also did see Gary's video today that was specifically about is woke Hollywood dying and all of that. And the funny issue in his part, because of how he's been saying this shit for like the last 7 years and has a million plus YouTube subscriber base on the back of it, and how now he's got enough money that he can give away merchandise for free and the beanie I won in a raffle and all that. What he brought up was funny was a New York Times article was talking about, is this like a genre in Hollywood that's dead, of being the hyper progressive Hollywood movie with messaging or inclusivity casting, and really the diversity just means a lot less white guys and a lot more miserable lecturing and all that. I mentioned earlier today in the video I was doing, talking about why Sonic the Hedgehog 3 beat the shit out of a new Disney movie at the box office, was the idea of building the type of pattern recognition with the audience. With the Sonic movies, the first 2 of them built up a positive reputation with the audience of either the parent, of it being something where it's just a family film, a silly family video game movie that your kids are going to be brought to by their parents, and also the fact that it's from an IP that's been around for so long, for almost 30 years. You have that multi-generational factor of the kids and the adults want to go see it, because the adults taking their kids, well, they remember this from their childhood. Like with initially what was going on with the Ninja Turtles when Paramount bought it out, when you had that 2012 cartoon, and when IDW first started doing new Turtles comics. So eventually, you had the Michael Bay movies, and then after issue 100 of the IDW Turtles comics, and then there were the CalArts cringe cartoon movie, and then now multiple CalArts cringe cartoon turtle shows. It's like, oh God. Well, but with Paramount, they've built at least with the Sonic movies, that consistent pattern recognition of, we take a good look at the Sonic films, and the Sonic films are all about being true to what people like about Sonic the Hedgehog and just entertaining the parents and the kids, as opposed to Disney, which in the past decades, I also brought up in the video about, don't you find it funny about how Hollywood hates Ricky Gervais ever since those Golden Globes he hosted, where he's insulting them to their face? And yet Disney and almost all the other studios out there that aren't Paramount, most of their productions take up the idea from Ricky Gervais's One Big Star vehicle, The Invention of Lying, where it's the world of nobody's ever told a lie until Ricky Gervais's character spontaneously develops the ability, and he's a writer for a company called Lecture Films. Yes, literally Lecture Films, and all they produce is just a film that's all just somebody in a chair just directly addressing you and lecturing you. Yeah, interesting how they don't like him, but they don't mind stealing one of his ideas from his attempt at crossing over into movies, for basically what all of Disney's done. And even with that live-action Lion King that this Mufasa thing is a prequel to, when it comes to compare that to the Disney Star Wars stuff, or that Cruella prequel they were doing, or 80% of their other productions, that live-action Lion King Mufasa has little to none of that crap. but there's just such we have such a negative understanding of idea of how Disney treats its fans and how, what Disney does with its old IPs that we just go, oh, fuck you. To look at it, the two things that Disney has done this year that actually were financially successful, you had two sequels to relatively recent, within the decade, new cartoon IPs of theirs, with the Moana sequel and with the Inside Out sequel, as opposed to some live action thing from decades ago. Yeah. And on top of the also with each one of them having a stunt cast actor in the Sonic movies that is there to play the part. Like say we're all the way from the very first film where you had Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik was star fucking, but it was the best kind because he was right for the part, and that's the most we've seen of Jim Carrey be that kind of zany since Liar Liar, really, if you look back, if you really think about it. That's why when this first Sonic movie was coming out, people were praising it, and a lot of them, positively or negatively, were saying it feels almost like a mid-90s big special effects kids movie. Like this would have been what Jim Carrey would have done if he was smarter and more safe with his choice of role after Batman Forever, instead of doing something dark and weird like the Cable Guy. And then you had Idris Elba being stunt cast with Knuckles doing the voice there in Sonic 2, and now with Keanu as Shadow in Sonic 3. So consistency is what the Sonic movies have done, from just focusing on what are we going to do that people know about the games that they like, what's going to be the thing that's just making it entertaining for families, and okay, what's the next big stunt casting we're going to do. So the stunt casting of one character or another is something that doesn't get talked about as much, or at least I haven't come across anybody that's brought it up. And the main thing, as Gary Beekler himself said, whenever the Sonic gets brought up, where he says, oh, and yeah, I'm pulling for Sonic again because they listened to the fans. That first Sonic movie with that first Sonic trailer where he looked like Vern Troyer if he was a furry at Burning Man, or if you took a bunch of acid and you had a bad trip, and then you saw Vern Troyer dressed as Sonic the Hedgehog at Burning Man, and like that's what you would see, and such negative reaction to it. Unlike Paul Feig telling people to kill themselves for not liking the trailer for the 2016 Ghostbusters, or Ryan Johnson, his forced laughter like a bitch if you criticize The Last Jedi. Jeff Fowler directing the Sonic movies, that first one, and that negative reaction, his response to social media was, we will make this right, and they pushed the release date back so they could go and have the extra time to redo the Sonic CGI to make it look like the Sonic from the games instead of what the fuck is that thing. Like that thing, it is basically like the look of Sonic that they first had in that first trailer is like what you would have expected if you had the people that did the 90s Mario Brothers movie doing the Sonic movie, with how they made everything ugly and unfaithful to the games, with the exception of Mario and Luigi's costumes and the bomb, if you remember that. And even then, not quite, because of the exact details. They're not wearing overalls. They're wearing like it looks like some type of off-brand like costume, but it has the right color palette. And also, John Leguizamo having his backwards hat. But remember, with everything else in that film, which really does read like some kind of feature-length Saturday Night Live parody of overly dark reboots of franchises, although it was the first thing we saw with Mario outside of the video games and that cartoon that Lou Albano starred in as Mario. And then you have the opposite end of last year's Mario movie, which was so much doing everything it can to bring the look of the Mario world onto the big screen that they even went did all those other little things, like their plumbing commercial is just the theme song from that old show that Lou Albano did, the Super Show. Or even having the little bit on the piano with the little theme when you go from the first game, when you go down to the little dark tunnel there, on the piano like that. And here's one. And remember, for a while there, Jim Carrey. If you want to focus in specifically on Jim Carrey, look at why I say that him as Robotnik was the most zany and most like what he's known for since Liar Liar. Look after Liar Liar, then after that, he went and did his big dramatic breakthrough with The Truman Show. And then Andy Kaufman, Man on the Moon. That was him going even more into that I'm such a serious method actor. Then you saw throughout the 2000s, I know Bruce Almighty was like the most overtly comedic thing he did that was successful, but still, not as good as Ace Ventura. And there was Eternal Sunshine, which did well, and it got a response for that. But then you also had stuff like that Series of Unfortunate Events film where he's like a creepy villain hitting on a little girl instead of him being like, zany villain. and that terrible remake of that Jane Fonda movie he did, Fun with that awful remake of Fun with Dick and Jane he did with David Duchovny's ex-wife, and then after that just all spiraled away. No wonder, I think at that point there was a while there where we thought, oh yeah, he said that he was about to retire from acting. Well, now with these Sonic movies recently, it looks like maybe not, because as Weatherman just brings up, let's see, he says Jim Carrey said that he would do another Grinch movie because now the Sonic movies he's done, he enjoys acting again. Well, I mean, if he does, he wants to do another Grinch. I've always been a fan of that Grinch movie he did. I don't let the nostalgia critic dictate my taste in movies to me. I mean, his alma mater can't even win a damn Potato Bowl game. Northern Illinois, they lost, right?
What year they lost?
Yeah. Coming from, expect the film opinion of a guy whose own alma mater can't even win the famous Potato Bowl today. They lost in overtime to, what was that state school? Are they even Division One?
What?
The school? No, the team that beat Northern Illinois today.
Yeah, they all got to be Division One. They can't beat another division. That's the rules.
And well, if that thing's, and oh yeah, we've got Donnie in the chat right there too. He's wishing a happy Festivus to all the Seinfeld fans out there. Well, my father never liked Seinfeld, but he did like Jerry Stiller, so maybe that episode with Jerry Stiller doing the Festivus thing, or
he went to Northern Illinois. They beat Fresno today.
Oh wait, well, okay, I'll scratch that. No way, yeah, Fresno State did lose to Northern Illinois in overtime. Double overtime, 28-20. Well, then okay. Well,
I stopped watching.
But unlike the nostalgia critic, if I am patently wrong about something, I'll actually make a correction. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, Northern Illinois, they did win. It's still the Potato Bowl, though.
It's
okay,
the famous Idaho.
It's not like that one season. I think actually when the nostalgia critic was a student there, where they were undefeated, they went to like a big BCS New Year's Day bowl game and they choked. Remember that?
This year they beat Notre Dame.
You remember that when they were undefeated going into, and there was like the big underdog story where suddenly, like, oh my God, they're a championship contender.
They're in the same conference as Central.
It was like 2003 or 4, I believe it was.
Central and Eastern in the same.
Yeah, I remember that one. Although, I think, although my father probably would not be able to buy Jerry Stiller being able to do any kind of feats of strength as one of the Festivus, traditions, the feats of strength.
Yeah, Jerry Stiller.
Maybe his wife, I don't know, or well, his son's been in good shape most of his career, so I would actually probably buy his son being more than that. Or although I'll say when it comes to, I remember last year I went through like Christmas episodes of Seinfeld, and as I would say, the one I liked the most was the one with the dwarf, the elf. The Santa elf, who's the dwarf actor, who also was one of the Santa's elves in Jingle All the Way, and hey, this guy's a commie and all that. That was yes, that was funny. What's that? And here's one. Festivus for the rest of us. I got my tin pole. I'm ready to air my grievances. Do you understand this now, George? Or as we could also call Ben Stiller, something where a Family Guy insult, a random celebrity insult on Family Guy is something I would agree with, was calling Ben Stiller, you mutant offspring of comedy people, and making fun of the size of his ears. Right. Yes. He's where Ben Stiller's able to fly away from Peter Griffin with his ears like he's Dumbo. I would say less focusing on his ears, looking more that he looks like a Jewish caveman. Or how even though he was never a part of Saturday Night Live, he looks like he's cosplaying as Mr. Peepers from Saturday Night Live. That caveman monkey thing that Chris Kattan would do with the red overalls and the big rubber ears with the big heavy eyebrows. Yes, that guy. Bah, bah. And I think they first did it when Sting hosted an episode for some reason, and they did an opening bit where he's making fun of his whole Save the Rainforest because Sting's really big into the. Okay. Yeah, we've got a winter weather advisory until 1 a.m. But I remember back when Saturday Night Live, when they would have a celebrity on that makes fun of themselves in some way that actually was actually trying to do a joke instead of kiss their ass all the time. and Sting was on there hosting, and he did a little bit, making fun of his whole save the rainforest activism he does. And he says, now there's so many beautiful exotic creatures you can only find in the Amazon rainforest, and I brought one of them. Now this is a special breed of monkey that's only found in the Amazon that I'm really passionate about saving as natural habitat, and it's Mr. Papers. And then in theirs, I think, was the debut of the Mr. Papers character, where he has an apple, he prefers apples, he's like, bah, 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 bah. They did another skit later on when The Rock hosted for the first time, and it's Mr. Peepers with Papa Peepers, and it's The Rock as Papa Peepers. But if you look at it, the whole time his rubber ears are starting to fall off. Like the makeup appliance did a shitty job, so that like the rubber ear is falling off on The Rock as he's running around. And except he's this big hulking dude, even though wrestling's fake, he can still hurt a dude if he's like gets too into the character and he starts slapping somebody and probably give Will Ferrell a concussion or something. On like little midget Chris Kattan, even on like big 6 foot something Will Ferrell, The Rock, he can still pack a wallop and still probably hurt somebody if he hits someone too hard.
You see the love handles on Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
He's got the Jewish body.
And remember, this was 2000. This was promoting WrestleMania 2000, The Rock. This was him in his prime. If you remember that WrestleMania 2000, they were basically his first time hosting the show was promoting that because he's doing his monologue. And then in the crowd is Cactus Jack and the Big Show and Triple H interrupting him because of the big 4-way dance where there was a McMahon sponsoring everybody in that main event. I think Vince McMahon, I think it was Vince himself that was connected to The Rock that one. And also in the monologue, they cut to backstage is Vince McMahon with Lorne Michaels. All of those little things right there. Here's one. I understand that there are a few safe alternatives to the feats of strength in Festivus celebrations, including thumb wars and dance-offs. I could buy maybe Jerry Stiller doing thumb wars with George Costanza there with Jason Alexander. I don't know about dance-offs. All those great Jewish dancers like, and don't forget, maybe a few Russian Jews, maybe when it comes to ballet. You might find some, if you go to Eastern Europe, you might find some, Polish or Russian Jews that were doing in the ballet somewhere like that.
When I was in Green Bay.
Baryshnikov wasn't Jewish, no, so.
No, he wasn't.
You might find a few Russian Jews that would have been great in the ballet, but that's about it. I would say that's about it. That's why your song and your classic piano men, that were the likes of Unnerving Berlin or whatever, or Rodgers and Hammerstein. They were there behind the piano doing music and lyrics. They weren't the ones dancing there. It's like what I said during my watch along of Home Alone about how the song, the main song from Home Alone, which was Oscar nominated that year for Best Song, it lost to a song from Dick Tracy that Madonna performed. And how much of a sacrilege that was. But then I thought, oh, well, it wasn't like Madonna actually was writing the song. And it probably was a vote on account of it was written by Stephen Sondheim, who was a big Broadway guy. He worked on West Side Story. So it probably was the Academy on his behalf, not for Madonna. Although they still did fuck over John Williams there with that original song. But hey. You may or may not be getting me to perform that one very soon, because tomorrow, because the weather and all that, my whole dance, I binge recorded shorts, and also tomorrow's video is already recorded and ready to prepare for tomorrow. So that means tomorrow is the day that I'll be doing all the things of my makeup for the Black Friday shopping, and also maybe for the driving around the Christmas lights there on Jefferson and all that at night. I got a little apology tour right there. Yeah, because my famously, I streamed from Liberty Comics and also with other places there for Black Friday, but I forgot my debit card. So the things I was shopping for, I wasn't able to get. Now that's why I'm going to be like double and triple checking my wallet, like once I get out there.
When are you going?
I think of going like around I do plan to actually go to bed a little bit earlier and all that, so I could wake up earlier to have more time out there and the time for the afternoon for all of that. But it'll be, I hope for like an 11:30 sort of thing like that, or that get that going, like hoping waking up early enough to be able to catch the whole of Culture Casino's 6-minute stream, because today luckily he ran long enough that as late as I usually been waking up the last 2 months, I was able to be there, enter the chat, and the big thing was mentioning, oh yes, halfway through these issues of Encrypted. Yes, now we've got Donnie in here. I did this piece today, which I started drawing this to be a back cover for Encrypted Save the Future, but now looking at it, since it has nothing to do with aliens or all that, I'll now wind up making this the back cover to the first encrypted comic. And also, there's the idea of I was contemplating, well, should I make this the back cover to the first encrypted, or make it a promotional item, like a promotional illustration that I'll try to get, put online, or try to see maybe, contact the Diaz brothers and, hey, in your next campaign, can I advertise this through your next campaign? And now is the idea of, well, at the very least, just focus on doing the back cover for Encrypted Save the Future and actually do it right this time. And then after that, maybe do a promotional piece or whatever to, keep the encrypted, keep myself practicing the drawing as I'm developing the story, so I don't have any, lag time between finishing drawing the Save the Future and then starting to draw Divine Justice, since I already have the cover and the back cover already drawn for Divine Justice. It's a matter of a little something there. And also with this, with Divine Justice being a combination of both more religious things and also more real life things with rendering New York City. And not just rendering the city, drawing it in the comic, but also and actually needing to learn more about the city with how visually it's portrayed, as much with the story and how that's details portrayed. There's a couple of things I already know off the top of my head, like I have a concept there that I want to put in for an interesting little tidbit about 53rd and 3rd, which was a cross section made famous by a Ramones song based off of Marky Ramone being a gigolo before the band took off, where 53rd and 3rd was pretty notoriously in that time where when he grew up in the city was an area where where gigolos would go. And let's just say their Johns were not Janes when they would go and be male streetwalkers at 53rd and 3rd. Yes. Like the line there, when I took up my razor blade and I did what God forbade, but at least they know I'm no sissy. Just because he sucked dick for money doesn't mean Marky Ramone was, fabulous. Trust me, a Tim Gunn or any man involved in the fashion industry would look at the way the Ramones were dressed and think, I appreciate the coordination, but it is just too dirty. Can we just, it's always leather jacket, ripped pants, leather jacket, ripped pants. Oh God, so boring. Where's the splash of color in there? I don't think that Tim Gunn guy would look at the Ramones and think that they need to coordinate better.
He wore business suits.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that those people on the E channel that criticize everyone's dresses at the Oscars would not have been a fan of the Ramones. And according to them, that wasn't them having wardrobe coordination. That's just them going. They just went on stage, and that's just how they always dressed. That wasn't them like coming up with like a band uniform. They just happen to always wear those biker jackets with the ripped pants. It wasn't like, bands from like the 50s and 60s that wore matching suits, but that was like a pre-coordinated idea, as opposed to the Ramones or what have you. Or with the, I will say with Busta Rhymes, the long fur pimp coats, he would wear things like that a lot in music videos or whatever. So, although of course the other I mentioned is the Dangerous video where he dresses like Sho'nuff from The Last Dragon, and even has his hair done to look like Sho'nuff. Am I the meanest? Am I the prettiest? But you all already know that. Yeah. And also, I remember one of the members of the Ramones later on in the band's run also was an ex-Marine. So they weren't sissies. Give or take one of them having been a gigolo.
U.S. Marine.
Yes. One of them got fired from the group in the 80s and got replaced with someone else who had been an ex-Marine. So the long strife of touring and recording and all that was not something that he would have been stressed out by. Being away from home and always being on the road somewhere else, I would say, that touring like that is, it would be like, say, what I mentioned before about with Dave Sim with Cerebus the Aardvark, where he would be, he would be not just regularly writing and drawing and self-publishing the comic month to month, but he was able to write and draw and self-publish to a monthly schedule while he also was hitting, signings in comic shops and going to conventions and doing all this year-round, all these places. So yeah, he'll be in, Atlanta for a convention, and then he'll be doing a book signing in Detroit, and then he'll be doing a convention in Toronto, then he'll be doing a convention in Dallas, and doing all that while also squeezing in the time where he's there at the convention, they're doing the signing, and then whatever time in the day, he's also making sure to get back to that drawing board and do that work on Cerebus. That I don't know. I
remember Aardvark.
Well, there may have been some kind of Cerebus promotion or like talk in the Realist, maybe.
Because I remember Krasner telling me.
But yes, if the real well, the sense for the Realist also was that magazine that famously published Wallywood's notorious Disneyland orgy poster. It wouldn't shock me if later on also there was some write-ups in there about Cerebus the Aardvark, especially with as it started getting more, it started becoming more less about spoofing Conan and more sprawling and more being one of the first comics to really have long-winded multi-year story arcs. The first big one they did, High Society, was 25 issues of political satire. So it wouldn't shock me if it was the High Society storyline that got the attention of the Realist and they started doing write-ups about Cerebus. And then later on, the next big storyline that was even longer than that, Church and State, was all about mocking organized religion and all of Cerebus becoming a power-hungry pope and throwing babies into crowds and stealing all the gold to the land so he can make a big sphere for himself and all that. Yeah, it wouldn't be surprised. Although then, of course, later on probably would be less, open towards giving him good write-ups when he started bashing feminism. Maybe not. You never know if they actually, were consistent in their ideas of freedom of speech and all of that. And oh yeah, it's his right to say that. So if he wants to go and say all this shit about feminism, which reads like Dave Sim being a man ahead of his time, since when it comes to long before cancel culture was a phrase in the English language, there he was getting canceled by the comic book business for daring to speak ill of feminism. So people want to talk about the idea of, oh my God, the comic book business went so woke and it became all about left-wing politics. So I can know with the all-new Marvel and race swapping these characters. If you've been paying attention and know something besides Marvel and DC, you would know there was a guy who was able to do it his way successfully and make a name for himself and express a political opinion that was to the right of Chairman Mao, and that meant he became persona non grata. Except for those that really were his friends and really didn't give a shit, or they had the idea of that's his right to say what he wants. Like, say, Kevin Eastman, out of the two Ninja Turtles creators, Kevin Eastman was the one who did keep, positive connection with him and even signed the I do not believe Dave Sim is a misogynist petition, which actually I'm also a signatory of. Yeah. That was like years ago when I first started to see that he had a YouTube channel, and it was a part of the fan website that they have out there, A Moment of Cerebus. It was like around 2015 was when Sim had the weird medical thing where he lost the ability to draw. There was some weird injury that happened in his drawing hand where then for like 2.5 years he could not draw. So then he would do a weekly update on that A Moment of Cerebus fan site, but then because of the hand there, he wound up starting to do a weekly video on the Cerebus Online YouTube channel he started. And that's why it was such a big deal. I would watch that video, a weekly update he'd do every year, a weekly update with that heavy, mostly on a matter of all the drinking and smoking he did for so many years of the and the weird gnarly teeth. But it was like around 2017 or so, he was like, I was attempting to do some lettering, and that pain when attempting to sign, that pain in my wrist disappeared. And I promised somebody who paid $10,000 to have 2 custom-made hardcover editions of 2 of the Cerebus paperbacks that he wanted. There was a guy who was willing to pay $10,000 to have 2 custom printed hardcover editions of 2 of the 16 volumes of the paperbacks that contain the whole 300 issue run of Cerebus and keep it in print. And he said, if I ever would lose the pain in the wrist and regain my ability to draw, I would do a drawing of Cerebus on the inside cover. Well, 2.5 years later, now, guess what? I have the ability in my hand to draw again. So then the video is all about him doing this illustration on the inside cover of Cerebus. But then at the end of the video, most of the video is a time lapse of him drawing Cerebus and all that, going through all the stages from penciling to then light boxing the Cerebus logo from a stencil of the Cerebus logo he has on standby so that he could hand draw the Cerebus logo onto the inside cover there. But then at the end of the video, it's like, after 8.5 hours of drawing, my hand is uncontrollably going like this. 8.5 hours of drawing, now his hand was going like that without control. That's why when the hand first started going crazy like that, and then he couldn't go anywhere without wearing one of those stress relief gloves of somebody who actually gets the wrist broken, it became to the point where he started going through all these medical things where he started doing CAT scans to see if it's a side effect of Parkinson's. No, it wasn't Parkinson's. He started working with a physiotherapist. The physiotherapist wasn't really helping. There was all these other things he thought where then he wound up getting a scan there, and it turns out it was particular muscles between the thumb and the index finger here, that the spasms and the like contortions of them was how he was able, like it became physically painful to even try and draw without wearing one of those things like that. It got to the point where with him doing Kickstarter campaigns to do like limited print run portfolios of original artwork for Cerebus, the way that he would fulfill the Kickstarter promise of like a certain level of backers would get their copy hand signed, he would have to wear the ballpoint pen. He would hold the ballpoint pen in his hand, and he would have like towels, folded little towels on a mountain of towels. He would have his hand, and he would just gently, as slowly as he could, do the signature on the cover, and they would switch out one to another to another. And now, ever since that he's been able to regularly draw, I saw that really hyper photorealistic way that he's able to draw with like 1,000 lines of rendering that he was doing on that Strange Death of Alex Raymond comic he was working on before the wrist went crazy on him. He's been able to draw like that again. I saw he did like a pitch perfect photorealistic looking pen rendering of Taylor Swift, which actually looks more attractive than the actual Taylor Swift. So he's gotten all his drawing facilities back in there, and he was able to draw that way before the wrist went crazy. I saw he did a variant cover for an X-Files annual that IDW published, which also included a short story that was written by Dave Sim. So I mentioned I'm not really interested in the IDW X-Files comics except for the crossover they did with 30 Days of Night. I'll have to make an addendum to that. There's the X-Files Annual 2014 done by IDW because it contains a story that's written from Dave Sim. If you've got the Cerebus, the Aardvark creator, doing an X-Files story by IDW, now I'm interested. It's like with that comic they did, I think Dynamite did, Die Hard Year One. It's a Die Hard prequel comic. I'm like, okay, really? But now I see written by Howard Chaykin. Okay, now I'm interested. It's supposed to be the first year of John McClane as a cop as a NYPD officer. And all right, but now it's Howard Chaykin writing it. Okay, you've got the American flag guy writing this. Now I'll track down some back issues. Let's see. Yeah, Weatherman brings up, I can't remember the exact band, but the Ramones got into a fight with some English punk rock band, and the Ramones cleaned their clocks and ended in jail in London with only a few bloody knuckles. I think it was the Sex Pistols. Yeah. My guess, yeah, if I remember right, because I remember Razorfist did one of those Metal Mythos videos about the Ramones. It was like 2.5 hours long because of just how, and not in that like EFAP way of like something that would take 9 minutes takes 9 hours because he's just a pedantic douchebag. No, it's because you're talking about a band that has 20 plus years worth of albums. Albums that are like 10 to 12 track long albums. So, all right, there's a reason if you're going to be reviewing this band's history album by album. Okay, that makes a little more sense for it to be 2.5 hours. At least in my case, right there. Yeah, I think it was because that bit of them going to London and them seeing those British punk bands like that, and the whole way that those shitty revisionist historians at like NME want to talk about how, punk was founded in England. Yeah, that's why you had the Sex Pistols or the Clash. They all started, what was it, 77 or 76 when they started and had their first albums? The Ramones, 1974, New York. Yeah, shut up. Punk was founded in America, so eat the Ramones monkey shit. And while you're at it, eat Iggy Pop's monkey shit as well, you British fucking morons. And that's what happens when you mistake an English accent for intelligence. Like Rich the Bitch Johnston, who really did buy the PR of Americans thinking that, an English accent makes you brilliant. It makes you smart. I'd love to work in something into one of the encrypted comics where he gets his fucking claws knocked out. Well, the one I'm doing right now involves a vigilante nun, so maybe one of Sister Mary Tamerless's victims would be drawn to look like Rich Johnston. Like how with the comic I did, Tanya, where her first victims when massacring that brothel are Vito Gesualdi and Vosh. My best attempts at rendering Vito Gesualdi and Vosh as Tanya is covered in mud and her own blood and decapitates the both of them before she starts beheading and impaling other people, and then just burns the whole goddamn brothel down and takes all the weapons and and wardrobe she likes and the gold she needs and goes off on her merry way. And hello to Tyranitar in the chat as well. Let's give Tyranitar, before we head into the talent portion of the show, a little look at the back cover for the first encrypted comic. Yes, I tried to draw one for Encrypted Save the Future. And then the finished result looks better as a back cover for issue 1. So tomorrow I'll do a back cover for Encrypted Save the Future, and hope to do at least one good solitary like promotional piece that I'd hope to try to be able to get somewhere else and someone else, like maybe something with a. I'm more confident that I'll be able to convince the Diaz brothers to get some promotion there for Encrypted into the story right there. A little bit. And today's poll is a simple one on this Merry Christmas. Would you love for the thumbnail to decorate your tree? And 80% of the vote says yes. Well, that is nice. That is very nice. Oh, yes. And now, with all of that, let's get out of the way so that you will not be feeling a blue Christmas. Yes. Yes. I do think that's one of those few times that Lindsay Ellis was right, was when she did that video in her Channel Awesome days of when NSYNC did her Christmas album. And she said, I think it was Elvis who really established and popularized the whole "It's Christmas and I Miss My Baby" theme. I saw that earlier, actually, about just saw a headline on TMZ about Bill Clinton being hospitalized. I got that as a Google News alert hours ago of Clinton being hospitalized. Okay. And let's move on there with the talent portion. Oh, yes. And yes, only 2 days left, Tyranitar. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. We got the day. We got the day. Oh, yeah. Let's get this to focus. I saw there was somebody who on my Shocks video yesterday complained, why is your camera always zipping out of focus like that? And I mentioned that the autofocus on the camera is just hypersensitive. Let's get in there and clean some things out. Oh, just making sure we get all their last minute little pencil marks in there removed. Oh yeah, there she is. The notorious Bettie Page in probably her most iconic pictures, or like one of hers most iconic photos. The little bit right there. Yes, that classic one. I've done this before, but now the plan is to actually go and do it in its full glory. And it's classic 50s looking glory right there. Oh, yeah. As photographed by the inimitable Bunny Yeager, who was a big, she actually was a big pinup model herself, and then wound up also gravitating into photography and had a long, successful career after she aged out of the modeling world. Yeah, there's that. And also in the HBO movie about Paige, that was from the director of American Psycho, they actually, one of the moments of the movie that's shot in color, most of the film is black and white. They do an interesting little dichotomy where most of the film is black and white, but then they'll have like montages of covers of different magazines she posed for, and the magazines we show, the magazine covers would be made to look like they were coming to life and she'd be moving on them and they would be in color. But then there's also the whole portion of her moving down to Florida and working with Bunny Yeager, and all those photos and all those scenes are shot in color, while the rest is still black and white. And we get a scene recreating her posing for this picture, famously, and they ask her, and the Yeager even says, "Oh, I'm going to send these kind of photos into this like newer magazine out of Chicago. They print on nicer paper and all that. It's called Playboy. If you've heard of it, no, I can't say I have." There's also another interesting detail where she's like, "Oh, they also want to know your age. What is that, Betty?" And she says, "Oh, I'm 32." Really? I couldn't tell. Well, models don't really like to, magazines don't really like to present models over 25, so I'll just, fudge the numbers. So let's get that in there. Start, of course, with the red. All the nice shiny baubles. Of course, the shiniest baubles being her beautiful naked body. It's like the notorious B movie maestro Jim Wynorski. His famous quote for how so many of his films had nudity in them is, he said, because breasts are the cheapest special effect in Hollywood. And well, true. It's funny because it's true. So why not that? Oh yeah, it's Christmas and I miss my baby. A blue. On here. Nope, I have not had too much Viagra. I've never had Viagra. I don't need it. I've overheard and known. I think actually my father even was dating this one lady who said about a guy she knew who was around her age when she was dating him. And yeah, this guy was like needing Viagra and he wasn't even 30. Yeah, there are guys now, that are not of the Social Security age, but yeah, they need that. And that's a matter of, my God, the way people abuse their health. Maybe if you spend a little less time sitting on the recliner there with your beer and your nachos, you would probably be able to go and stimulate your woman without those needs. Oh, Weatherman was talking about. I don't know about that. What does he say? Was it fever?
What?
Bill Clinton in the hospitalization for fever. Was it said in the headline?
I don't know.
I think the headline there in TMZ said fever. If it's Bill Clinton hospitalized for too much Viagra, I don't know if fever is one of the side effects with your,
No, it's not.
It's not that, no. And also they're supposed to make sure they don't give it to people that have heart conditions or pre-existing heart conditions like that. Although there probably are people out there that either have a shitty doctor or they're so well off that they're able to just bribe the doctor into giving them that Viagra prescription, even though they have the heart condition. That means they should not be able to take it. Let's get a little bit right there. Oh yeah, no. Now it's just Diddy. Just call me Diddy. A little bit of the dangerous. Oh my God, song. It's dangerous. You're dangerous. You're dangerous. Oh, am I the meanest? Am I the prettiest? Why? Because I'm Diddy. I want some white parties. I went to Howard University, but I want a white party. I want white parties. All white parties. Yeah, that's right. Oh. How about we roll out a Ferrari that's actually a cake? Yes, I saw that headline correctly. Yeah, Bill Clinton hospitalized with a fever, and well, as far as I know about Viagra, it doesn't give you a fever with its side effects. At least I don't hope so.
Georgetown Hospital.
Oh yeah, Georgetown. That's you remember said about well off and all that. If you're in the Georgetown Hospital, trust me, you have got good insurance. Either that or paying out of pocket. You just open your wallet. You've got the cash on hand. I know it's a little bit, the obtrusive at this moment, but do you have insurance? Oh, do I have insurance? Yes, of course. Here it is. Oh, yeah. Right there. Get those little bubbles right out there. And of course, a famous sex symbol like Paige, who did not have, huge. Well, even then in the 50s and 60s, or whatever, it's just that you would see those models in those magazines or in those nudist magazines or those nudie cutie kind of movies that they were called back then. And there still would be, as big as Pamela Anderson. It's just that their, Pam Anderson sized breasts were God given. That was the difference. And then you have, one of the most famous out there, Bettie Page, in that time. And no, she had a nice, I would say B cup, maybe. I do not know her exact measurements because I do not have that copy of her Playboy where, they would have the measurements and all there on the Playmate stats on the back of the centerfold. Maybe she did there. Maybe she was a B cup. I do not know.
Wrong. The date they got.
It is the 23rd.
It is?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did I think it was wrong?
Yes, that's why and it's also probably more fitting for me to go and do that last minute shopping and all that stuff on Christmas Eve and then just do a big binge of wrapping. Because all those things are in my room, but they have not all been wrapped yet. And I do have the demarcation between those, yeah, things I got, if they came from an eBay or an Amazon or whatever, that are presents, yeah, take them out of the packaging they came in and then do the wrapping that way. I mean, it's you wrap it, it's in the box, but then you also go and open the box and you put the wrapping over the box it came in. So then you have to rip the box open and then after you're doing the unwrapping. That's a little extra work right there. No thanks. And not for the recipient. Let's not do that. Let's make it fun. Okay, now let's go in with the famous hair. He had body hair, not pleasant. He shed, not right. Oh, you don't have a chance there. You're 8 years old and you have a beard. That's what I said. I think during the stream there, my movie watch along with Home Alone. or with Chris's Vacation, I also said in that one, in my review of that one, yeah, if you can find the film, if you can find it in a way, if you either own it physically or find some streaming service where you can watch it uncensored because of like certain curse words and things like that, or scenes that get trimmed from Chris's Vacation, if you just watch it on the regular basic cable. Yeah, that one right there, those are always that way. Always frustrating to find that out. It basically incentivizes you. That's one of those ways to incentivize towards physical media. Either that, or you're just one of those that will pay the extra $2.99 or $3.99 on Prime Video or whatever to watch it digitally there. Or the shitter is full. The shitter is full. Like that's one where they'll just like mute that. Or they'll censor even though you don't see nudity, the pool fantasy that Chevy Chase has, where the sexy lingerie shop girl he was hitting on earlier in the movie, he starts daydreaming her on the pool, and she's taking her one piece off and throwing it away, and she goes and dives. We only see her like from behind as she's pulling it down. We don't even get to really see her bare ass, but still those shots get trimmed, even though it was well, one thing about Chris's Vacation is that that's when, they were boiling it down from the first couple movies being, R-rated to then going into that way. If you remember the multiple great nude scenes that that the first two Vacation films had, yes, the first one and of course the classic original and its underrated first sequel. Yes, I really like European Vacation.
It's all released.
And also, but then, at least in that one, you don't see anything, but that's how it was in the film with the skinny dipping scene in the first Vacation, and how, damn it, we don't get to actually see Christy Brinkley nude. Famously, she refused to do the nude scene because she thought, oh, that's I still want to leave a little something to the imagination of men out there. Or at the very least, she probably thought, well, I could probably get a bigger check by not doing nudity for this, and then wait for Playboy to offer me a massive check to then go and post for them, which would be a much bigger score for her financially. And then, like the next year, she was on the cover of Playboy, but wasn't nude inside it. It was one of those examples of when Playboy would have some big celebrity, some big famous actress and model on the cover who doesn't appear nude inside, and you would feel really cheated. Like with Raquel Welch did that, or and Christy Brinkley. There's also Brooke Shields was on one cover of one December issue where you didn't get to see her nude. The first time I ever saw that myself was when it was like the December 2005 issue, and Jessica Alba on the cover. Oh my God, she's gonna be nude, and then you see it and nothing. No, it's just she's on like the sex stars of the year list, and they like reprint an Esquire photo of her, and she's fully clothed. Like, God damn it. And I think if I remember correctly, she actually wound up her people sued Playboy on account of them. Oh, you were tricking people into thinking that I was posing nude for this, and I never would. I remember, Joel McHale brought that up on the Soup, and he said, if you really want to piss her off, tape her head onto the pictures of the naked ladies in the issue and then mail them to her. Yeah, well, that would be fun. Especially how frustrated I was from that movie. There you see her in Sin City and all that. You have this hard R-rated movie where even lesbian parole officers are hot cougars strutting around in nothing but a G-string, and then the hottest stripper in town, the stripper that everybody comes around town to see, is a stripper that doesn't do any stripping. Are you serious? Are you fucking kidding me? Especially considering how much hype the movie got in the pages of Playboy. And then if you saw when it came out on DVD in August, they had multiple ads across multiple pages of an issue leading up to its DVD release. And of course, I was there day one at Best Buy when we got it. And one of the things I got with the stimulus check over COVID and all that was I went and was finally able to go and get in the original packaging the director's cut that came, the director's cut like multi-disc edition DVD of it that even came with a reprint of the first Sin City comic. It included the all green screen version of the movie. Although, if you remember, the all green screen version of the movie was like 3 minutes. It was like fast forward sped up. Remember that? Yeah, I do. And they also had the version as it was, and the director's cut was the way where the 3 stories were all edited, where it's just one after another, beginning, middle, and end, and each story ends with the end credits of them, then goes into the next story, if you remember that. Yeah. Yes, that way, because the film, as you saw it, they moved things around. There's the opening little segment there, then the opening credits, then there's beginning of the Bruce Willis story, then it cuts to the Mickey Rourke story and it goes through Mickey Rourke, then Clive Owen all the way through. Then at the end of Clive Owen's story, it then cuts back to the rest of the Bruce Willis story. And then also we get that little bookend, which is like the one scene that wasn't from any of the comics that they add in there was the thing with the hooker that betrayed the Gilmore Girls hooker that betrayed all the hookers in the second story, and her in the elevator with Josh Hartnett.
We may have talked about this. Their last place on division.
Here's one.
34-0.
Weatherman says Christy Brinkley made $30 million a year through the height of her career, through the agency she was working for in the height of her modeling from the 70s into the 80s. So I'm probably sure that's maybe why, whatever it was that she was paid for her big and introducing film a role in Vacation, that's probably also why, understandably, she thought, dollars to cents of why, yeah, I'm not going to do nudity for this when I don't do nudity for all these big international publications where I'm getting millions a year and appearing on the Tonight Show for, and being the guest photographer at an international boxing match. What was that? Roberto, yeah, there was... Christy Brinkley, get a photographer there for, I think, Time Magazine, front row, Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard, I think. It was a famous boxing match where they had her as the photographer front row. And Weatherman says European Vacation was okay. Yeah, it's one that I think, yeah, we should, it deserves more attention. As I'll leave it easy. I'll keep it simple. It deserves more attention in that way. Wait, it looks a little weird. Let's go and... leave that one little strip right there. This looks chaotic. One little strip of the gray in there. Yeah, just a little there. And a little around here. Then again, also, you look at that like, okay, I'm not going to go and do nudity for all that and all these guys, but I will marry Billy Joel. Though still a better choice of man for her than that guy she was married to who then got caught being a Cuties fan that she divorced in that notorious case where she was divorcing him while all this crap was exposed about him. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, if anybody else... I'm pretty sure that there are some people in the audience that are old enough to remember that the Uptown Girl video. There she was with Billy, and then that's how they wound up becoming a couple. So later on, when she had her little role in Parks and Recreation as the fat dumb guy's wife, that's not that far, implausible for her, considering she was Mrs. Billy Joel for a while. And I think that actually the first time we saw her was that one Christmas episode of Parks and Recreation where he invites everybody over to his house and we see, oh yeah, the wife, and oh, it's Christy Brinkley. And you're like, what? She's his wife? And then it becomes a recurring joke throughout the rest of the show. They're like, maybe she was hypnotized into being attracted to him. And like the hypnosis, whatever, she never got out of it. So maybe that explains it. There can't be any other logical explanation for it. We're trying to understand, yes. All right, let's now get in the more of the face there, a little more red. Yo, lordy. If only we ever got to see, little Miss Christie go out there and do a little something like maybe this. And the fact that also she was there in the generation before the internet, so probably, like say, another time a model who was really, really big for a few years and all that, Kate Upton, she never did anything nude, but then, of course, the privately taken nude photos got hacked, so we got to see what we wanted. If only Brinkley was of the smartphone generation, there probably would have been some, leaks of hers eventually. And Weatherman brings up that Playboy did offer Brinkley several times to pose nude, but always said no. That's why that issue, I mentioned it, she was the California State Trooper turned Playmate that was in Andy Sedaris films, Roberta Vasquez. She was, the Miss November. And in that issue, you see, that's one where it's Christy Brinkley on the cover. And like, oh, God, you're going to see her there. And then, oh, wait, she's not nude. Oh, fuck you people. Liars. Con artists, swindlers. You cheated me. Like with it was the last issue of Playboy in the 70s that had there was Raquel Welch on the cover and her spread was non-nude. You're like, what the fuck? Then what the fuck did I spend my $1.50 on?
It was $1.50 in the 50s.
You what con job you pulled on me?
By that point, it was like $3.95.
And then, well, then of course, later, at least in that issue, you also got to see a sweet. You got to see a nice little fiery Latina give you all that you wanted, and then if you try to get fresh with her when she didn't like it, she'd smack the shit out of you or blow you away. Probably why that's one of those playmates that doesn't have any of those Me Too stories.
Vasquez?
No, Roberta Vasquez, who was that state trooper. Yes,
No, she was the LAPD.
There she was. Yeah, a lady who both has hand-to-hand skills and also knows her way around a gun. Pretty sure anybody try to go out there, it would be Miss 45, the race swap version of it. Or but then also knowing Hefner's pre-elections, that's probably also why she doesn't have any tell-all book stories about him on account of yeah, her. Let's just say, yeah, with a name like Vasquez, she definitely does not fit that generic blonde model that he always wanted to have four of, and I think even their own parents wouldn't be able to tell them apart. They came off the assembly line at the Ex Machina factory, the California Beach Girl edition, of course. All right, let's go a little pink in there at the mouth. Yeah, there we go.
Knows a quintessential beach girl, and she's from Monroe, Michigan. Where we went to
Or
a convention.
Or the same thing with the ultimate California blonde bombshell, Pam Anderson, straight from the issues of Playboy, who is the centennial child of Canada. Yes.
67.
She was born. She was the first child on record born stroke of midnight New Year's Day for the centennial of Canada. Yes.
But who would think Monroe, Michigan, and Pam Anderson?
No, that's Christy Brinkley, was born in Monroe.
Okay, man.
Get a little in there, just a little lighter. In that little sprink of the little light catching in there. Make it a little darker. There we go. Right there. Now let's get in with that gorgeous body. Really put this all to work. Oh. Oh, yes. Then again, Miss Bettie right here was not an uptown girl. She was a Southern belle. And remember what I said about how Southern women, you just can't control them. They're fuck maniacs. They need it all the time. All day, every day. They got to show it off. They like to show it off. They need it. They want it. That's a little Bettie right here was like that. And if you thought, Betty and Freddie got fingered was weird for how she liked getting caned, it was nothing compared to that fetish stuff that you look at, Miss Page was doing, of her getting tied up and gagged around and all that. That's why when you saw her getting tied up and gagged, the version of her from The Rocketeer, that was just Dave Stevens being accurate to her career, with her getting tied up in the back of cars and things like that. All gagged and ready to just be spanked. That one Rocketeer piece that Dave Stevens did, it was a promotional piece. It wasn't like an actual page in the book where he's got her over his shoulders. He's got her slung over one shoulder and her, skirts up. We can see her panties and all that. That's the perfect position for him to have, spanked her for being a bad girl. Because remember, those Southern girls, they act out that way because they're looking for a new daddy to spank them. Well, that's not there. That's just I'll leave it to Norm Macdonald for when it comes to my mother, especially because she is uppity. I'm saying a real Southern lady like Miss Page. The difference between that and one of those rich girl types.
Your mother had East Coast parents.
That's it. A little different from true blue Southern belle like little Miss Bettie right here. Oh, I do declare, you gonna spank me with that big thing there, Mr. Rocketeer. You're going to take that little machine pistol and punish me the way Mr. Beauregard used to do.
The original Rocketeer?
No, with you wouldn't know the actor.
Second of 40s?
No, the beauty of The Rocketeer, it was a comic from the 80s that was able to perfectly encapsulate the pulp adventure, movie serial adventure characters of the 30s and 40s. That to the point where if you looked at it and looked at the way it was treated with the Disney movie, you would swear, oh yeah, the Rocketeer, this is like some kind of comic strip hero or pulp magazine character from World War II. No, no, no. It was a backup feature in a black and white small press comic from the 80s that just was so accurate and so well made that people it fit that time, and you'd have to go and look back at the history and figure it out. Weatherman says, I believe Pamela was born in Toronto too. I'm not sure about that.
No,
I don't think so.
she was born in some weird.
I think it was like out in British Columbia or whatever.
Yeah.
Just doing the thin layer this way. Yeah, I gotta reload this. And Weatherman has an interesting observation. Southern girls are either whores that want to be treated like princesses or Southern belles that want to be treated like whores. Exactly. Well, one of those fits my mother perfectly. And then, but she was cheating anyway, even though he did treat her like Mr. Beauregard. Just trying to get in those little extra layers. That one's not working there, so let's go in with this one should work. Nope. I think this end might be able to take care of business. Since Betty did have a nice tan on her. Oh yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Oh, come on, spank me there. I think that's why the ultimate one true love of Rogue is a Cajun man. It's Gambit. That's what he does there. Gambit's going there with Rogue. I'm gonna get that Rogue. I'm gonna punch that girl, Cajun style. That's right there. I'm gonna get that Cajun style. Does anybody else out there know about James Carville, and do they think that Gambit is like that? He gives her the pickle tickle Cajun style. I think he does, and he does it well. He just might go up in there and get a little bit of that notorious part of that there. You got a little bit of that lead belly, slappity do. Oh yeah, I like to slappity do on that girl. She's a bit of a slap happy girl, so I gotta slap her back because a lady like that expects a man to slap her back when she tries to get all slappy. You don't go with a Southern belle like that and just stand there if she slap you. You slap her back, or you bend her over and you go and you give her a nice good spanking on that love seat. Take off her panties first. Take off the panties and keep them.
The name of town she was born in.
Yes, well, we just confirmed, yes. Lady Smith, British Columbia, specifically. Yeah, that's the birthplace of Pam Anderson.
See her birthday.
Yes.
Lady Smith, BC.
All right, then. Now we're going to go in there.
You know, her first husband was Tommy Lee.
Yeah, that's right there. Gonna have that little bit of that fun time with the little Rogue. I see you there, Rogue. I can't spank your bare bottom. You gonna drain out all my energy? Well, then I'll put on some gloves. I'm gonna spank your bare bottom anyway. I'm gonna put your bare bottom all over my knee and I'm gonna smack you. If I wear some gloves, I'm gonna punch you. That's right. Because you a bad girl. You a bad girl who did bad things. I remember you were a villain first. You were an enemy. You were an enemy of the X-Men. And I punish enemies of the X-Men. Cajun style.
Did you ever see her in Scooby-Doo?
Yes. We saw that in the theater.
Well, that's how much I remember it. Scary Movie 3, I saw that. Pauly Shore's Dead was the movie.
Yeah, I saw it advertised. I've never seen it myself.
No Rules, was that wrestling?
Do not know.
Borat, I saw that. You. Blonde and Blonder the next year. Never
Oh.
saw that.
Yeah, we did. You had the DVD of it.
We did.
Yeah.
D Twiddle was her character.
Going a little bit of a slap it down. Oh yeah.
Where's Borat?
That nice little tan. Yes, remember
Nikki Larson.
Bettie Page tanned very, very well.
The Naked Gun. It's got something coming out called Rosebush Pruning.
And I also saw that Miss Anderson may or may not be dating Liam Neeson now. Well, with as big a guy as he is for an actor, I'm pretty sure if everything's in proportion, that means he's got something that could match Tommy Lee. If I'm remembering right, it was that model Janice Dickinson did all kinds of stories about different celebrities she fucked, and she said, Liam Neeson, yes, this was when he was starting out in Hollywood. He had just done Suspect or whatever, and I was with him, he dropped his pants, and something the size of an Evian bottle fell out of his pants. Yeah, and Weatherman confirms about Pam being born in Ladysmith, British Columbia. And hello to me and my monkey coming in here on this magical Christmas night where we've got a gorgeous Southern belle. No, that's right. She's a dirty girl. She's a dirty Southerner, which means a dirty Southern belle beats a chaste Northern girl any day.
Is that your mother?
No, she was a rich whore. She was a rich whore. She's the kind who talks like that, whatever, the lounge jacket, whatever, but then also is the type who, back in the days of slavery, probably would secretly wish that some big Jim Brown-looking man in a cotton field would break into her bed, break into the bedroom at night and claim her virginity as a spoil of war in the name of the Union.
34-0. Good job, Green Bay.
Oh Lord! Remember that North and South miniseries in the '80s that had I remember there was it had Patrick Swayze in it as a I believe he was a Confederate general, but it also had Kirstie Alley as a Southern lady that has a romance with one of her slaves. Oh yeah! Oh, take me there, Mandingo! Take me. That's right, bitch. Oh no, wait, this is it. That's right there, Mr. Bitch, baby. I'm gonna get you out there. I'm gonna get one of my peckerhead ladies. I don't know about that one there, Mr. Carruthers. I'm gonna get you just like I'm gonna have one of your mama's delicious blueberry pies. That's right. And when I get we're gonna be having babies together that are gonna be looking blacker than my mama's booty. Oh. Oh, yeah, that's right there. You're gonna stand now when Mr. Beauregard come to town. I'm the real Mr. Beauregard. That's Leroy Beauregard to you, baby. You getting out there and getting ready for the pretty time with all the best days and all the best days of bells. All the best ways of how to have the man. Because the man is coming to town. And when a man comes to town, all the hoochie white girls gather round. That's why the white girls come for my big fun bag. My bag of fun. Of course, I just gotta whip it out of my pants. You don't mind if I whip this out now, do you? Ah! Oh, that's what you like right there. You don't like that there? And well, hello to me and my monkey. Let's give him a look at what we have done so far with Encrypted Divine Justice. We've got this back cover we drew. Simple. The busted rosary in front of instead of the bullet hole. And here is the cover to Encrypted Divine Justice, the actual front cover. Right there. Hoping you like that one. I'll make it shiny and perfect. I'll make it blacker than my mama's booty. Oh. Is that what you like? There's that back cover. So Encrypted Divine Justice is coming along. And here is the back cover I just did tonight for Encrypted Save the Future. Show it there. Oh, right there. Better dead than fed. This might also be used as a promotional piece. I do want to go and have to do like at least one promotional illustration that's meant to just be a piece to promote it, and try to see if I can get it farmed out towards something like with the new campaign that the Diaz brothers are doing. No. Oh, now you understand what I'm getting at there, mister. That's what we like there, sir. Oh, that's a good boy there, sir. Mind if I touch your balls, sir? Yeah, I do mind if I touch your fucking balls? We's gonna cleans out your asshole. We's got the checks inside your asshole. Oh, you don't have to do this for me. I'm a grown man. Yeah, you a big boy, sir. Yeah, I'm a big boy. I take a big boy poop. Oh, I see you did there, sir. You like that big boy poop, baby. And I've always liked it, and that's good strong. What was that one gag they did in Kentucky Fried Movie of a blaxploitation thing where it's a sister out for revenge with her Jewish husband, so she's Cleopatra Schwartz. OJ Black again. Who could expect that? Oh yeah, now we don't get that in. Oh yeah. OJ. Taxi, I'm black again. It's Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods called blazing. I always wanted to be part of a race and have an opportunity if I know if I'm capital Lees or not. Or all I have to say is so long, fried rice. Hello, fried chicken. I love you guys. Oh, so I always wanted to say this for shizzle. Now we're getting it there. Oh yeah. That's nice, ain't it? Oh yeah, we're getting this there, getting that little bit of that. That's right. That's what we do here. Hello to Forever Lost. And hello to Alpha Proto. Well, Alpha Proto, I've actually done this before on other Christmas streams, Christmas time streams of doing Bettie Page's famous little segment right here, her famous centerfold. And remember, well, this certainly fits the Uncensored that's in the title of my stream, so why not? And also, if you're worried about whether or not this stream's gonna wind up being demonetized, this is when I call upon you to drop in some supers to make this stream profitable, in defiance of that. Or of course, there are channel memberships you can gift to yourself. Or there's my art store, the link that's pinned up to the top of the chat. Follow that link and drop in a donation. No, that's just me earning something from the stream anyway. Oh yeah. Now let's go and make sure you got a little bit of get you the link. There's the Streamlabs link right there. And also, here is how you can help and fund the revolution. And yes, there may or may not be in the future of in a future encrypted story a little something that may or may not include Fiona getting to see her naked. That just may or may not be the future promotion of one of these subsequent encrypted stories of Fiona gets naked. Make her like a white Pangreer where you just see her showering all the time. Oh yeah, now we're getting it down there. Oh yeah, that's right.
DVDs.
Yeah, they did. We had them, I remember.
There's a question. We never had them. We had the TV show.
Let's try the other end. Betty was the first pinup model, right? No, no, no. I wouldn't say that. It would just be she was definitely one of the most remembered and most popular of that 1940s, 1950s era. I mean, to the point where she became a pop cultural icon, especially on the back of The Rocketeer, because she was really popular at that time, and then she walked away, and then her name disappeared. But there were people like cartoonist Dave Stevens and Olivia de Berdini, who both in separate ways in the 80s wound up drawing her or painting her a lot, like with Olivia's artwork. And also there was, besides Olivia painting her all the time, also there was Dave Stevens making her the girlfriend in the Rocketeer comic. Yes, that one. Who I saw a Frank Miller interview recently where he talked about the coloring stage of The Dark Knight Returns and Lynn Varley doing that. And he said, oh yeah, you see she was doing some airbrush painting in that. And all she had an instruction on that beforehand was she was told about how to use it from the pinup painter Olivia de Berdini. Which, okay. For somebody who Lynn Varley, I think, already went to art school and already grew up in like Bloomfield Hills. So she was already, pretty uppity. Yes. And the last I saw of Lynn Varley, there was something where an art dealer she had, they like stole sketches from her ex-husband, from Frank Miller's wardrobe, of like old pieces he had done around the time of The Dark Knight Returns, and she was secretly getting her art dealer to try and sell them on the sly, knowing that to be much more interested in her ex-husband's work, even just like basic like ballpoint pen sketches, than of her finished paintings. So I remember they divorced around the time of when the Sin City movie came out.
So you married a long time?
There is an exact date on when they married, but they first started working together. I think she worked with another comic artist on a different comic, but they shared the same studio space in New York. So then he started noticing her. Then he got her to color his first big thing he did for DC, that Ronin comic. And then from there, the collaboration wound up becoming a marriage, until eventually 2005 they divorced. Let's see. And well, Weatherman just gifted 5 memberships. So let's see. Sean Green, Lance Strider, Ray Haylock, me and my monkey, and Isaac DeSormo all were gifted channel memberships. Yeah. Betty was very pretty back in the day. Yes, forever. Yes, 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 indeed. And Alpha Proto says, dang, I dodged all those gift memberships. Merry freaking Christmas. And also hello to John DeGoat, who says, nice art. Well, remember, when this piece is done, there's that link to my store where donate 40 and it's yours. I'll ship it out to you immediately tomorrow morning. And also, yes, it'll be the subject of, I'll wake up even earlier than expected to ship it out as the subject of a Luke Goes Postal video. Northside Kings are undefeated. That's why now whenever I've gone back to Liberty Comics where they have my Wolverine art up in the store, I go there, and when I see it, I also now think of Glenn Danzig because of Wolverine and how much more Danzig in the role would be much more comic book accurate between the physique.
The guy from the rock band?
Yeah, it's named after him. Between the physique and the height. It's not just how small the Danzig is, but also how he's always been so jacked throughout his life.
I just know the band name.
Yes, it'll be a...
Is the name of a guy?
Yes, Glenn Danzig is his name. He was with the Misfits first, and then he broke away and started his own band. No. The Misfits with if you look back at the Misfits and they started out, almost all the guys were like really in super great shape for a punk band. It's usually, skinny, scrawny dudes or whatever. But then you had Danzig himself, and also Jerry Only and Doyle von Frankenstein. All of them were these like ripped. They were, yeah. They start out in Jersey. The Luke Goes Postal Christmas special. Let's make that happen. Somebody go and buy this piece. Donate 40 in the store, since of course it's still being made, so it can't be available in the store yet. But let's smooth out that coloring right here. Now, somebody was recommending that I try out the Prismacolor illustration markers, because those Prismacolor markers, they don't leave behind those big brush strokes like that. You have to go over and over and over to smooth out. That is true, but also those are not refillable, those Prismacolor illustration markers. So you have to go and just buy a new one. If you get like a big set or whatever. And also they don't require cleaning. That's why those things like the rapidograph pens, those Koh-i-Noor rapidograph pens, those are the original drawing pens that weren't, so you wouldn't have to go and use the quill or the brush or whatever. They also require like a weekly cleaning, and you're not supposed to leave the ink inside them if you're not drawing with them.
Once a week.
Yeah, so it's like you're better off just long-term investing in buying like the packs. The packs of disposable drawing pens, that's why with these 3 encrypted comics I've done, it's now a thing where with each comic I always get the new Canson Smooth Bristol XL 25 sheets and a new like large just from a different brand pack of the disposable drawing pens. So it's like a fresh set that I'm drawing with and doing that comic. And Alpha says, I've got a big set. Well, okay.
Just tell them it's always nice to get a chick that's got a big set.
It's always nice to meet a lady that's got a big set, even though our, Southern Belle right here, Betty, didn't have a big set. She had nice, natural, beautiful bees. And there were, really stacked women doing pinups and doing nudie cuties, back in the 50s. They just, theirs were God given. Like, look up one called Chesty Morgan.
Oh, yeah. She was the one that did it with Pete Rose.
And Chesty Morgan also, I knew about her first being featured in the movie Serial Mom. Serial Mom was this movie by my 4th grade teacher recommended to me. And in it, one of the main characters is this guy who's, it's a movie set in the mid 90s, but then there's this one chronic masturbator teenage boy, and all of like the porn collection he has is all like 50s and 60s, like nudie mags and those like nudist magazines and those type of pornos from back then. And we see him in his bedroom, and there he is with Chesty Morgan on his TV.
She was the one who came out with Pete Rose.
The lady from the movie Lethal Weapons, Chesty Morgan. Well, that's
only one Chesty Morgan. She registered that name. She was the official one.
Let's see. Cool pens, but I have no idea how great a pen is. But a good set of pens. Oh yeah, well, these are for the coloring. The pens I use for drawing. Actually, I've got the set right under here. These are the ones I'm using for encrypted Divine Justice right here. It's a brand Artisos, I think. It's a Japanese ink. They go from 003 all the way up to a 3mm tip and a brush pen. Yeah. Let's see where these come from. Made in China with Japanese ink. It goes from 003 all the way up to a 3mm and a brush tip as well for doing that effect. And now let's go and see this boy. Lethal Weapons, if that's the film. Or we can just go and...
There was one, like R-rated spoof called Lethal Weapons.
Yes. We're looking at Chesty Morgan right here. I know I can't really show you. Actually,
one Playboy with her and Pete Rose.
Here's one. Apparently, she's still alive, 87 years old, and born in Poland. Okay.
Where in Poland?
Yes, Ilana Wajcik, better known by her stage name Chesty Morgan, also known as Liliana Wyszkowska.
Where was she born?
And Lillian Stello.
Where was she born?
It doesn't say. And also Jewish.
A Polish Jew.
Let's see. Oh, she Deadly Weapons. Looking up her Wikipedia profile, yes, the movie they show in her picture is not a photo of her, but it's a poster of her from a film called Deadly Weapons in the 70s. Yes.
She got famous when she streaked the World Series.
That's the one. And she was billed as having a 73-inch bust. Yes. Seeing is believing. 73, 32, 36. See the mob get busted. Although also when it comes to Bettie Page, you look at her, yes, she had the classic hourglass figure. And also for like a model in the 50s, she was one that actually had like, real good shape and tone to her figure. Like you look at certain photos of her and you can see, the right kind of lighting. You see some actual like light muscle tone to her. She wasn't just somebody who was slim. She was a great model who also had, that she was physically active. That's like one famous page of the last Rocketeer comic that Dave Stevens did. I think it's issue 1 of the Rocketeer Cliff's New York Adventure. There's one page that has like the one whole like third of the composition of the page is just one big pose, like a big anchor figure drawing of her, where it's like her back to the reader, and the way that it's like in a backless dress, and the way that Steve Stevens rendered all the nice tones of like the muscles across her back and her ass and all that is absolutely amazing, and also absolutely accurate to the way she actually did have a nice tone to the figure. She wasn't overly ripped or anything, as you could tell, but also definitely not just somebody who was just there, just just thin. Or as Weatherman brings up, Bettie Page, Betty Grable, also from that era, Marilyn Monroe, Rita Hayworth, and Ida Lupino, the legendary pinup girls of that time. Or and yeah, Betty Grable, she's the one that's famous for the one famous photo of her in the one piece where she's got ass to the camera, but is smirking over her shoulder while she's waving her ass to the camera. That is the pose. That is the pose that Scarlett Johansson ripped off incessantly when smirking over her shoulder to wave her ass at you at red carpets until her Marvel contract ran out. Now she's complaining about having been sexualized in her youth. Oh, shut up, bitch. Yeah, the husband who was a walking Men's Warehouse catalog, who never answered never answered an obstacle in life without rhetorically asking, "Do you know who my father is?" An Ivy League trust fund in human form. But then again, that's the kind of crap you see with those kind of people. So whatever. Okay, now I would say we are done with this baby. Let's go in and add some. Yes, a little bit. No, an entitled bitch and a spoiled brat. What a great marriage they make. Until eventually later on, they'll divorce, and then she'll move on to the marrying Ted Turner phase of her Jane Fonda tribute act of a career. She'll marry I don't know who it'll be out there. Maybe it'll be some new like tech or medium billionaire that she'll marry. Ted Turner had been around in the press for a while there when eventually Jane Fonda quit acting, and she just would be there right alongside Ted Turner doing the tomahawk chop in the press box in the luxury box at Braves games, and also ringside seats at WCW events with Ted Turner would be there.
Look at that slide.
Right there in WCW. Although knowing that she also would be there at WCW events and secretly fantasizing about either Ron Simmons or Sting, all oiled up and shirtless. Probably knowing her, it's like, oh, I always wanted to be with some big black man like him, but I would never go near them because my agent says it'd ruin your career if you touch a black man. In case you're wondering why, with all of the pandering to blue hair crap that Margot Robbie always does ever since Suicide Squad, she didn't mind about them arbitrarily recasting Will Smith in the Suicide Squad reboot with Idris Elba playing I Can't Believe It's Not Deadshot. Probably because maybe if you do a movie with a black man 3 times, then white producers won't want you, and you don't want to ruin your career now, don't you? Yeah. New Hollywood, new progressive woke Hollywood, same as the old Hollywood. Remember, it's the same people, the same worldviews, the same political views from then as now. Okay, so it's not what you think they're just suddenly upped and changed, or are they just the same kind of people, or just as capable of making shit like minstrel show cartoons and movies like The Birth of a Nation and those bucktooth Japanese type of people you would see in those band 12 Looney Tunes shorts from back in the day? No, it's the same people. Same people. New boss, same as the old boss. And with there, we have ourselves a finished Bettie Page right here. The notorious Bettie Page. Although Forever does bring up, when it comes to Jane Fonda, she could have been gotten banged out by a big black cock that we have no idea about. Well, yeah, there are those that are able to get, that dick on the. If there is so many men that are able to force themselves on women, or get actresses to prostitute themselves in exchange for stardom willingly, yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lady that likes the dark meat could get, some big buck on the side. Now, the LeBron James has the right kind of PR people that are able to keep his name out of the Diddy tape conversation, as much as able to keep him away from all the white prostitutes he probably had from one place to another in all his travels in the league. Or all the white girlfriends he had when he was a big star with his Catholic high school basketball games getting televised on ESPN. That's it. That's why the adult film industry has been more progressive than mainstream Hollywood, with the wake of starlets like Riley Reid in the adult film industry refusing less pay to do interracial, and now that's led to a fundamental change in the pay scale of white lady performers doing scenes with black men in movies now, to the point where it's not a thing that ruins their career in the mainstream or gets them less money. Right. That's why I say, if anything, Riley Reid should now do a triple X parody of Glory, that Civil War movie with Denzel and Morgan Freeman and Matthew Broderick as the colonel leading the volunteer infantry of free black men and former slaves. It should be like that. The scene before they all go into their one big battle they had, where there's all of them lined up, and Matthew Broderick asks, "If this man should fall, who shall carry the flag?" And it's a young Andre Braugher who promises to do so, I think. Yeah, like that. Instead, it'll be, the gangbang of Fort. I can't remember the name of the fort it was they had their battle in. But if this black cock should fall, who will take his place in my mouth? I'll be, baby. And then up comes Wesley Pipes as playing the Denzel Washington character from the film. Oh my Lord, 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 Lord. Yes, I have seen that film. Yes.
Have you ever seen Wesley Pipes?
The black porn star. Yes.
Who else is named Wesley Pipes?
Well, I think he stole that name from a joke in Half Baked, where the guys in Half Baked all have names after their bongs. And what's the one? Yeah, Jim Brew's like, "No, man, use Wesley Pipes for this new weed."
Yeah, but that's just porno.
Here's one. Forever Lost says, "If a pretty white girl went shaking, you are right. The simps would dip out." Yeah. Oh no, sharking. If a pretty white girl went sharking, you are right. The simps would dip out. And then Forever also follows up that with, "Dude, there's a reason she can't get a white dude to go out with her. LOL, things don't really change."
Who's that?
I think that's referring to Jane Fonda these days. Or of course, outside of the industry with Riley Reid. I mentioned that earlier, I think last week, about the thing of how when it comes to performers in the industry, they wind up almost always dating. If they do marry or actually try to have any serious relationship, it's pretty much always with people within the industry in some form or another. Because understandably, people want to go outside of that. Yeah, it's not a thing. And for Alpha Proto brings up, I think Chesty Morgan was featured on Sandra Bernhardt's.
Literally, it was in my mind. That Chesty Morgan, I'm just thinking
of. Alpha Proto says, I think Chesty Morgan was featured on Sandra Bernhardt's show on Late Night USA Network, Real Wild Cinema.
She was in one World Series.
Or either that, or maybe Rhonda Shear with her USA Up All Night, or I think also Joe Bob Briggs would definitely would have been the type to have her on the show. I mean, on his movie channel show, he had all the different Andy Sedaris actresses on, like Roberta Vasquez or Cynthia Brimhall, and Andy Sedaris himself with Julie Strain and what have you. So why not? And yes, if you like this version of Betty we did this year, then follow the link to my art store, and a $40 donation will get you this piece, and I'll ship it out to you first thing tomorrow morning as the Luke Goes Postal Christmas special. And also, this is the last call for super chats, the last call for channel memberships, or the last call for donations into my store, just because I want to thank Weatherman for the 5 memberships he gifted. So let's go and do a little update on... Yes, that's
73.
How many memberships we have right now.
She's still alive. She's 87.
Well, right now we're at 106 memberships, but if we don't lose any more between tonight and tomorrow, we should be up to 111. Yes, that's long of a trying not to dip below 100 memberships.
Nazis killed her parents when they invaded Poland. Chesty Morgan.
That's a sad, sad story. But then again, she would have been of that generation.
She's 87.
It's like during Halloween, I rewatched the Monster Squad, and the creepy old German guy that helps them and all that. You notice in his room, he has a menorah in the background. I'm thinking, okay, well, doing the math of that old man there, German Jew, that means he probably would have been of the age where he's seen some shit in his life. I'll leave it at that. That elderly German Jew in the 80s, he would have seen some shit from the home country.
Do you know that Chesty Morgan was in Fellini movies?
I've only ever seen 8.5, so I wouldn't know.
She was in Double Agent 73. That's her kids.
Of course.
She was in a bunch of Fellini movies. Fellini's Casanova she was in.
That I've never seen, so I wouldn't know. But let's see. Julie Strain. Oh, yes. Alpha Proto brings up Julie Strain. And yes, Julie Strain, who was a big B-movie actress and Penthouse Pet, all that, was Mrs. Kevin Eastman. Yes. That's part of why the Eastman Laird partnership broke off, where Eastman sold his half of the Turtles to Laird in the 90s, was a matter of, well, he was busy with Heavy Metal Magazine and climbing Mount Julie Strain. And also later on with her appearing in those Andy Sedaris films. Those later Sedaris films actually were pretty much co-produced and funded by Kevin Eastman. And Kevin Eastman even has appearances in those movies.
73.
Yes, well, look them up. Day of the Warrior and Return to Savage Beach both feature Kevin Eastman has little cameos in them alongside his wife. And Weatherman says, I love the Monster Squad. Yeah, even though it's Christmas, it's still available to watch for free through Prime Video. And you go and look through like here's the movies of the time that are trending. It's like you still have like, okay, you've got these movies like the Monster Squad when it's December 23rd. Okay. Yeah, that's a great one. That's one I'm so if I had seen it on HBO in the 90s or whatever, it would have been one of those beloved things for me, but I didn't. But I don't know why. That's the same time where same channels and all that when I would see The Gate all the time, and The Gate's far more intense for kids than the Monster Squad.
What?
No, especially with that eye in the palm of Stephen Dorff's hand, the blinking eye in the palm of his hand. If you remember that part, The Gate.
What's the name of the one that I'm talking about?
And maybe it's just it would have been on Showtime, and I don't think we had that. Either that, or I was distracted by the Larry Sanders Show and all the times David Duchovny would appear on that, and how much he was in love with Gary Shandling. I made that joke earlier today when I saw JB Spooky Reviews, who he did another X-Files review recently, and I mentioned, well, luckily he's right now almost done with season 4, and I say, okay, you still have one good X-Files season ahead of you before the Dark Times, before David Duchovny directed an episode where he has his wife and his gay lover guest star. And he's like, gay lover, what do you mean? And I said, yeah, Gary Shandling. You don't remember when Duchovny would play himself in Larry Sanders Show, and he's always like romantic or sexual with Gary Shandling? It's like, oh God, I do remember that now. Right? There's a guy like, I think the company's in love with me. It's like every time you have him on the show, I have to ask him the questions twice because he gazes at me and it's like he's looking into my soul. Or later on, where he goes to Duchovny's room at the Bel Air Hotel, and David uncrosses his legs, revealing the male equivalent of the Basic Instinct crotch shot. He's whispering at them on the phone, meet me at the Bel Air Hotel. Just meet me there. I was dreaming about you last night, Gary. I was dreaming of you. Maybe you'd come around and, you could stay the night with me. Besides all that, Alvin Broda says, I saw that movie in the first grade. I had no idea what a virgin was. I just knew that if someone asked you if you were one, you're supposed to say no. Oh, referring to the Monster Squad with the thing with the girl they have. Oh wait, the girl's not. It turns out the girl we need to speak the spell has to be a virgin. Oh wait, she's not really a virgin. Oh wait, that didn't count. Doesn't count. So then they have to get a 5-year-old girl to say the spell to stop the monsters.
No, that was the.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, the 5-year-old girl there being the virgin, but not if Hollywood can help it. Or also a joke can make that of when the fat kid kills the creature in the Black Lagoon with the shotgun. I'm thinking, well, there's something you would not see in a modern movie: a child defending himself from a monster with a gun.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Joseph Rosenbaum would give that movie a 0 stars review, and Mark Ruffalo would cry about it on Twitter. So that means every Halloween, flood Mark Ruffalo's social media post with comments about that bit of "My name is Horace" part from the Monster Squad, just to make him cry. Weatherman brings up The Gate was a creepy movie, and Forever brings up The Gate was so good to me as a kid. Oh, well, the Monster Squad was one of those 80s bombs that became a cult film through rentals, and through cable and premium cable all the time, and I just never saw it. There was another one I saw that was about a teenager who becomes a vampire from the vampire woman he starts dating. And there's a part where he starts shopping blood from the butcher in the town grocery store. Sells blood to vampires in town on the sly. Just the blood left over from harvesting the meat for the butcher shop. We got pig blood, we got chicken blood, we got cow blood. Which kind would you like? Yeah, that one. And everybody thinks he's actually gay when, oh no, he's just becoming a vampire. He's not gay. Yeah, of course, the Wolfman's got nards being the big line everyone remembers from the movie, or how interesting it is in retrospect of how you've got the Frankenstein monster there being the sort of E.T. kind of thing with him and the little girl, their little friendship and all that. The year after, you have Tom Noonan as Dollarhide in Manhunter. Well, he was nothing if not versatile an actor to go from a psychopath who murders families to the Frankenstein monster friend of children. Although, of course, his thing with being such a crazy method actor, apparently it was a thing where Tom Newton would not show up on the set in front of the kids unless he was in full makeup. Similar to how when making Manhunter, he would only respond to his character named Francis, and he would sit in his trailer in the dark and would never turn the lights on if somebody came into his trailer to talk to him. He's like, no, Francis would like it this way. You actually got the name wrong. It's Once Bitten, that the first thing Jim Carrey ever starred in, that vampire comedy he did with that model Lauren Hutton and Cleavon Little as her sidekick. Yeah. That was the thing of the decade of him in the 80s, just grinding his stand-up career and whatever he could get, like bit parts and things, like Peggy Sue Got Married, that one Coppola film where he has a little part in, where him and Nicolas Cage were friends in that film and then became friends for a while. Yeah, that's it. Although, because it's one of those movies of before they were famous, it's found a life through TV and through every home media outlet out there, because Jim Carrey's first lead role, that means it's always in circulation that way. Like with that movie that Johnny Depp did with like him and I think Rob Morrow before Northern Exposure and before Johnny Depp became a big star with One on Jump Street. It was like some like spring break beach party movie thing that they both were in. And that's one that's been kept on like now with home media, with VHS, with airing on cable, and then with DVD, and now with Blu-ray and with streaming and all that. And here's one. Weatherman brings up, my father was a meat cutter. He would dispose of over 60 gallons of blood a day. So well, in a world like that teenage vampire movie where the butcher, the guy running the butcher shop, just sells gallons upon gallons of blood to the vampires in town on the sly as a side business, he would be making out like a bandit. Let's see that. Forever Lux brings up, in the hood, there was a huge problem with girls getting knocked up in the NYC hood in the 90s. It was crazy. I think an 8th grader was getting knocked up. It happened, yeah. Or I remember when I was in the 8th grade, there was this girl I knew with a circle of these other girls she would talk with. And I would remember like talking with her and overhearing her, and I'm thinking, in the future, this girl's going to wind up getting pregnant in high school. And I'm not lying. In my freshman year in high school, where the high school was, if my mother wouldn't pick me up, I'd have to like walk pretty much halfway across town to get from my high school, where it was like around McLean, around the CAA headquarters and all that uppity neighborhood, to where we were living. And I remember walking past the metro stop for the big mall that we would go to. And right there in front of the metro stop was that girl with her friends. And she was in the second trimester. I was laughing my ass off the rest of the way walking home for being like Nostradamus and predicting accurately that this girl would be pregnant in the future in high school. I've never read the prophecies of Nostradamus, but he spoke through me seeing that. Here's one. Alpha Proto brings up 3-year-olds shouldn't watch like that. That and Teen Wolf ruined my sense of romance. Maybe grow up thinking a chick would want to just jump me. Well, there are women out there who would just jump you if, say, you're famous or if they know you're rich. Then the women, all sluts great and small, all slutty creatures great and small, will be begging you for your dick in their mouth. Or also certain other things like, when it comes to women, there's also parts where you don't necessarily have to look like Brad Pitt in Legends of the Fall, but if you do the things that get them in the feels, that then the heart of a way to a woman's pussy is through her heart. It's the reverse of men. The opposite. The polarity of men is the way to a man's heart is through his dick. Well, the way to a woman's the way to a woman's heart is the way to a woman's pussy is through the heart. So you could be a thing like, say, be a guy who's like a single father that looks like Patton Oswalt, but if there's some woman who sees there is that Patton Oswalt looking fat old dude who's devoted to taking his kids to school or whatever, then I'm gonna suck that man's dick off. Now, for a guy, you see some guy go, if a guy looks at a woman and she's a single mother dropping her kids off at school and she doesn't look like Pam Anderson in 91, most of the time he probably won't care. But then you have something like, well, I would love seeing that. It was like a strange, almost like an anthropological observation to be that there I'd be anywhere with my father after his divorce or whatever, and either in school or whatever, and we'd be out there and all the women would be flocking to him or leering at him like Brad Pitt in Legends of the Fall. If we would be there, he'd be walking out in public with us with all his kids. And oh, look, there he is. Oh yeah, there he is with all his children. Oh, there he is. He's such a devoted father. And also, yeah, there's no misses around, so that means I saw him first, bitch. I'm taking his dick first. Hey, I pointed him out first. I saw him first, whore, slut, bitch, skank. Okay, well, then maybe we can work a three-way with him. Yeah, that sort of thing. Or is that? She's the town bicycle. Everyone's had a ride. Or she's like a doorknob. Everyone gets a turn.
Well, I never remarried.
And that's also another major reason of why my father never remarried, was an account of okay, being there, winning full custody of the children, and being out there in LA as a as a self-employed doctor, and being around being a single doctor with kids is like catnip. It's catnip to women.
They would stare at me when I would walk across the room.
And actually, let's get the direct point of view here. Let's get the mic on each other right here when it comes to it.
I would show up at the school and walk out of my car, and you would think I was walking around naked. I mean, these people, they were, if it were beyond being in heat, they were it. And all it did was make me want to vomit. I mean, it was like, no thanks. My female tastes are about half your age, honey.
They were looking at him like he was a naked Rocco Siffredi in 1988, or was that?
I just remember parking the car and walking across to get you out of school, and there'd be these mothers looking like they've never seen a man before.
The problem child movies, if anybody remembers them, they're thought of as being really exaggerated, cartoony slapstick. The second problem child film, there's a gag in that I could relate to completely one-to-one with the title character and John Ritter. Now, they're off. He's single or whatever. They move into the new town, and there's the whole row of women running outside the house like they're lining like a massive line around the block for when a Star Wars movie would come out in the 80s, of all these single women wanting to introduce themselves to John Ritter because, oh, look at that new single dad out there. That was completely relatable from the child's perspective. From me, like all the row of women, all of them like a row of dogs in heat, waiting for that fire hydrant, waiting for that that new treat, waiting for that chance to sleep on the bed.
They knew you'd be around, especially if they knew you'd be around kids. that was a catnip.
Yes, that was the thing.
You couldn't do more. You see, walk with 2 or 3 kids.
And even then, you could be, a single father. You're there with your child or whatever, and you can look like a complete slob. But that's the way to a woman's pussy is through her heart, and she'll be, oh God, look at him, there he is. I always see him there. He's always so devoted, and my God, I'm gonna rip his pants off right here. It's funny because it's true. Yes. Or Weatherman also brings up, had a girl get pregnant in my 6th grade school. I was, what the hell? We had to take these films about biology in the gym for a week when a 6th grader got pregnant in Weatherman school.
What took her so long? 6th grade.
And saying Farmer brings up, it only worked that way with average Joes or whatever. Yeah, the doctors will always get the panties wet. Yeah, there's that too. If only because of the decades and generations of general hospital conditioning American women to think of the doctors in that way of of a young John Stamos or a pre-famed David Hasselhoff when they were on that show.
When
I think also Tommy Lee Jones was he got a start, I think, on General Hospital too.
My sister's teacher introduced me to.
Wait, here's a direct to the mic.
My daughter introduced me to someone and said, "My single doctor father." I didn't even need to speak. That's how bad it was. Single doctor father. That's all she needed to say. I could just walk around and have her say that line every time. It was like what I called the penny dropper.
If you're a single father doctor in LA, then you're as much of a gash hound as James Bond, essentially. Maybe that's why he never took kindly to any James Bond actor after Sean Connery, because why would I need to look at these replacements when I could just look at myself? Or, of course, the classic Ian Fleming novels, which have stayed in print this whole time, and I've never read a single one.
So stupid but true.
Although there is a good substitute, because long before the movies even started, there was a British newspaper that ran a daily James Bond comic strip that directly adapted all of the original Ian Fleming James Bond novels and short stories, and they're kept in print. You can find them on Amazon. So I think it's like Titan Comics has reprinted from like 57 to like 61. There was a James Bond comic strip. And also, interestingly, the likeness of James Bond that they use almost consistently unintentionally looks like Sean Connery.
I don't think it was unintentional.
But the strip ran from 57 to 62, so there's no way that there was. This has to have just been a really fascinating coincidence of how much the likeness of the way Bond is drawn looks like Sean Connery, because the strip ended when, like, before Dr. No even came out.
Look at the size of that guy! Holy shit! Look at him! Look at that guy.
There's Alpha says, the funny thing about girls in high school that put out is that they may not be pretty, but they get a lot of attention because everyone had a chance. And he's got another story like that in his high school of the girl who looked like a white Mindy Kaling and what happened during a certain event in the basement.
What? Oh, we had float parties when we were building a float for homecoming, and there was this girl who, she was the village bicycle, but the bottom line was she took on like most of the guys on my football team, and it was like she had no limits, and everybody thought it was like a cool thing, even though at that time she was just the village bicycle.
Everyone's had a ride, Vanessa.
I mean, it was ridiculous. Kathy Belmore, never forget her name.
Don't be jealous of that Italian bid.
Watch her now; she's probably a nun or something.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Let's see. Let's see
I never
there.
forget that float meeting in the basement.
Oh God. Alpha Proto says a girl got pregnant in the 6th grade at his school. She was Mexican American. Okay, that's a stereotype right then and there that she was reinforcing.
Well, by starting 11, I was the only guy that didn't hop on her because I had a girlfriend.
She was Mexican American and would visit Mexico during the summer. When I learned the age of consent in Mexico, the gears started to turn. Oh, okay.
You know what buddies of mine said? Well, my girlfriend wouldn't put out, so Kathy would.
Maybe you, entitled jackasses, should have been more faithful to your girlfriend and been more patient.
It was hilarious.
In case you're wondering why you see other ugly fat girls like the writers of She-Hulk, who then would gloat about in college when they let dudes run trains on them. Yeah, it's new generation of independent fat whores, the same as the old generation of independent fat whores.
Like Kathy Belmore story nowadays.
Yes. Well, the creator of She-Hulk might as well just legally change her name to Kathy Belmore.
We had most guys play both ways. So basically 11 starters. Of 11 starters, she took 9 in one night. Only 2 guys.
9 men in one night. Ouch.
9, 12th grade. Not men, boys.
Here's one more. Here's another one when it came to where I was in LA, single father doctor there. That meant he always had any date he wanted. And with Forever, he says, in the hood there, New York City, if you were a drug dealer right there, that was the panty dropper, being the drug dealer. Well, I think the RZA talking about when he would deal crack in New York, and there would be women so desperate that they would fuck him for the crack. And he said, that was some of the best sex I ever had before my rap career took off, was literal crack whores.
Well, remember, in LA, an educated man is rare. The man with high education is rare.
Yes. In the land of the blind, the man with one eye is king. In the land of LA, the educated man is king, because there's plenty of, those rich business types or whatever, those guys in LA. And a lot of the guys are just guys who blind luck, fell into the business, or they hustled their way in some way with no real book smarts. But then you have, a doctor, a PhD. That's a little different when you have PhD on one end and doctor on the other end of your name.
And they say, oh, you work out and all this stuff. Oh my God. And you don't have 75 girlfriends?
Here's one. Whereas Forever also says, dude, big ass women in college got railed left and right by super thirsty dudes. Like the dudes that even would make, that even a sexless, nerdy, nebbish comedian like a Patton Oswalt or Mark Maron would look like, oh God, I wouldn't fuck that girl. I'm not that desperate.
We had 50 or 100 chicks standing outside the locker room waiting for you to come out. You didn't have to do much.
On the other hand, this gentleman here was the type of gentleman that prefer a woman in shape, like one of the original American gladiators, Zap.
And all these chicks wanted was they wanted Polish sausage.
I don't know about the American gladiator experience you had.
Oh, I was in the gym at Gold's in Venice, and Zap came up to me. If anybody who knows what Zap is, and she asked me, she said, "You're the most well-dressed guy I've ever seen in Gold's gym." And it's like, and then she was hitting on me, and then we went back to her house in Malibu, and we had some sexy time and all that. But it was hilarious because she told me, she said, "I'm the most well-dressed guy in the Gold's Gym she's ever seen."
Yes, she was one of the original American gladiators, sort of like another one who would have been a better choice for She-Hulk than that orphan black bitch they went with. Besides, I remember online people saying Rachel McLeish or Corey Everson. And if you saw the Knuckles show on Paramount, there's the one of the guys in there, his old bedroom. He has a big stand-up like cut of her that he's had like indentations from having hugged her over and over and over growing up. And there's me and my monkey putting the members-only emojis to use of Sydney Sweeney as a Hooters girl and the Michigan Block M. Because, yes, remember, noon, New Year's Eve is the Michigan Bowl game against Alabama, so you'll be able to watch and enjoy Jeremy Griggs seeing his beloved Alabama lose to Michigan twice in the same year. And that'll be a members-only stream because for everyone, for the public, I will be streaming into the new year. I'll be doing my regular New Year's Eve stream all the way up into New Year's Day.
So the game's at noon?
Yeah, the game's at noon. And the last good look here is what we got with Bettie, the notorious Bettie Page. And I would recommend the film The Notorious Bettie Page. Yes, right there. And also, everybody, one last look at the latest piece, this being the back cover to the first encrypted comic. We are now past the halfway point. Now that I'm doing encrypted Divine Justice, then after that will be encrypted Cloak and Dagger, and then the 4 initial comics will be done, so that then it's a matter of getting the word out there and getting the clout to then be able to start launching a crowdfunder through my art store, through my online store of that first one. And here is the back cover to Divine Justice itself. The Shattered Rosary with the bullet hole. The Shattered Rosary with all those beads scattering like the beads of the pearl necklace of Martha Wayne. And Weatherman says he's got a family party on the 29th. Well, man, it's great that, and I've got people out there, I've got viewers, I got fans that've got their family parties. That is incredible to see. And here is the cover itself to Encrypted Divine Justice right there. Yes, the story revolves around a vigilante nun, Sister Mary Tamerless, so why not?
You know you have a relative that is a nun.
Right there. Especially proud of that strip. I've never really done that sort of one continuous panel strip with the expression to expression like that. Drawing the gun, firing, and the shock with the smoke. All of that.
Literally, your relative is a nun.
And of course, there's the nun habit up top with the habit swooping down the bottom with our protagonist, Fiona Anderson, right there in her tight skirt with her bra bursting out of the blouse. You have to watch Black Lagoon. You would love the nun in that anime. Well, then forever, I'll be checking that out. Black Lagoon is the name of the anime. I'm sure I could probably find that somewhere, if not, pirated on YouTube. Like one of my favorite anime of all time, Golden Boy. The English dub of that is still readily available to watch pirated on YouTube, and that's fun. And I'm pretty sure anybody out there that knows the Golden Boy anime knows why I would be a fan of that. Yes. The Hound, she rocked in that anime, says Weatherman, referring to the Hound in Black Lagoon. Well, okay. I'll definitely be checking that one out. And 90% of you said, yes, you would want Betty to be decorating your tree that way, which is great. And Forever says he loves Golden Boy. Oh, yes. His luck was wild. Because remember, life is study, study, life is study. Oh, have sex with me, please. Oh, screw this hot bitch. Oh, whoa, whoa. Get back, Kentaro. Oh God, what is he, crazy? Oh God, you were amazing. He's not leaving me a virgin. Have fun losing your virginity. Oh, until his waiting hands catch my beautiful bouncing breast. Oh, she isn't wearing any panties, and I was wrong. She's a C cup. Maybe she's not wearing any panties because she's got a cold and she wanted to breathe easier. And it's also why she's not wearing a bra. Yes, Kentaro Oe, the greatest anime hero of all time. I'll fight you on that one. That man was amazing. That man was a legend. That man was the Japanese equivalent to our classic film heroes like the Little Tramp that Charlie Chaplin always played in his silent film days, or even, the embodiment of such musical classics as Like a Rolling Stone. There he was. He was the wandering man. There he went. And maybe the knowledge he amassed will eventually save the world, or maybe not. Either that, or will he ever actually get laid? We don't know. Yeah. Well, I hope you recommended Black Hound to me, and I hope I got everyone else interested in rewatching Golden Boy. Especially the one that involves him launching nose first into the crotch of an Olympic swimmer in the pool like that. Ah! Always, always fun. So, until then, everybody make their moment right there. Everybody's got their readiness. Everybody get ready because tomorrow I'm going to be out there with my my makeup Black Friday shopping and all that for you members to see. So until then, I thank you for watching. Subscribe so I hit 10,000 subs this year. Don't forget to become a member today and shop in my art store at the second link below. And also tomorrow, I've got my shorts at 5 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 and 6. My video premiere at 6:30. And I'll be live again at 10. We are so close to Christmas, so everybody bring the Christmas spirit out. So it's a Merry Christmas to everyone. And felines, slam it, lick it, suck it, and see you, Space Cowboy.